Everyone tells you to stop living in your head, stop daydreaming, focus on reality. But psychology actually shows that those fake scenarios your brain keeps running aren't escapism. They might be the most sophisticated survival system your mind has ever built. And that changes everything about how we understand the human brain forever. In the next few minutes, we're uncovering why your brain rehearses obsessively, what's actually firing in your neurons when you drift into imagined worlds, why this feels so real it almost hurts, and the one insight that completely reframes what we've been calling a flaw. Stay with me. This one rewires how you see yourself. Here's what we know. Your brain is a prediction machine. It doesn't wait for reality to happen, it simulates it first, constantly, obsessively. Think of it like a flight simulator for pilots. Pilots don't learn to fly by crashing real planes. They rehearse every scenario, engine failure, bad weather, the unthinkable in a safe simulation before it happens. Your brain runs the same system. It calls it imagination. But here's where it gets wild. For most people, that simulator runs quietly in the background. A brief what if before a job interview, a mental rehearsal before a difficult conversation, standard software. But for some brains, the ones the world calls lost in their heads, the chronic daydreamers, the people who build entire parallel lives inside their minds, the simulator never fully powers down. And the paradox most people miss, that's not a malfunction, that's overdrive. Psychology now has a name for the most intense version, maladaptive daydreaming, and researchers are only beginning to map how deep it goes. Here's what's happening inside the brain. The default mode network, a constellation of regions including the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, activates every time your mind wanders. In most brains, it dims when you focus, but in high-immersion daydreamers, it stays loudly active, almost like it refuses to let go of the simulation. Researchers at the University of Haifa studying maladaptive daydreaming found these individuals weren't checked out, they were over-engaged, emotionally, cognitively, neurologically lit up. Have you ever noticed that your most vivid daydreams aren't random? They're not noise, they're rehearsal. They replay moments of rejection, loss, longing, or they build worlds where those wounds finally heal. Picture this. A child who feels invisible at home begins constructing an inner world where they matter deeply, where they're heard, where the story ends differently. That's not delusion. That's the brain doing what brains do, solving for safety with the only tools it has. And yet, we handed that child a label, distracted, unfocused, needs to be present. What almost nobody realizes is that the brain doesn't hallucinate randomly, it rehearses specifically. It targets the exact wounds that haven't healed, the unmet needs, the unresolved fears. It runs the simulation over and over because somewhere in the architecture of survival, it believes if it rehearses long enough, it will finally find the exit. So the real psychological insight here is this. The brain that can't stop simulating isn't broken, it's devoted to protecting you, devoted to solving what hurt you before the world hurts you again. The question isn't how do you stop, the question is what is your mind still trying to fix? Because when you answer that with curiosity instead of shame, the simulation doesn't disappear, it finally starts to serve you. That's not a flaw in your neurology. That might be the most human thing about you. If this flipped your view of the mind even a little, smash like, subscribe for more brain resets every week, and drop in the comments what surprised you most.